Good evening and welcome into Tennessee Volunteers live on the Voice of College Football Network. Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley with you on this Monday evening. Great to see you all again. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Really appreciate all of you guys for supporting us and helps you get closer to all the great Tennessee football content that you enjoy. Because, Jordan, we have one more show between tonight and Tennessee football kickoff. This is our last show before college football begins this weekend, which I'm very excited about with that week 0 game between Kansas State and Iowa State across the pond. That one should be really fun in comparison to some of the other ones in the past. But it is quickly approaching, and we are going to have all kinds of things to discuss tonight on Tennessee Volunteers Live. Jordan, how has your weekend been, and how excited are you now for football as we are really just knocking on the door?
Yeah, well, my weekend's been pretty good, just been working a little bit, getting like situated with a new job. But as far as the football season goes, I cannot be more ecstatic. Like I don't know how like you feel, but as soon as college football season's over with, I'm like, all right, well, now we just got we're just several months away and then we can get back to it again. So, I mean, I've been looking forward to this for a while, not even like just for Tennessee's game, but just for college football to be back in general. Like we're going to have a lot of excitement coming up here soon. And I'm very, very excited for the season.
Well, no offense to you, Jordan, but I actually celebrate athletic seasons that are not football as well. I do enjoy watching Tennessee basketball and baseball because it's very fun to watch them right now. They're all clicking in the Tennessee athletics world. And it makes things a little bit more enjoyable because that way you have content to discuss in the months of June and even into July a little bit. Not too much, but you only have so long of a dead period. Whereas for the most part, once your basketball season's done, April through August is it's hard. It's really, really hard. And right now it's very difficult too, but we're almost there. We're almost there. So speaking of Tennessee athletics, we need to start with a pretty major discussion involving some of the branding going on at Tennessee athletics. And you guys probably can't see it right now, but there is a patch on my left arm of the shirt that I'm wearing. Let me move my arm up to the screen. You can probably make out what that is now. Yes, it is the Adidas logo. Tennessee is officially switching back to Adidas in 2026. After a 10-year run with Nike. And this has caused a lot of controversy among Tennessee fans. Some prior experiences with Adidas were not stellar, especially toward the back end, but there have been some good experiences as well. You know, that's the last time Tennessee won a national championship was when it was wearing Adidas. Jordan, what are your thoughts on Tennessee's latest move over to Adidas?
Well, I know we discussed it, like the deal potentially taking place, and like here we are with it being official now. I've changed my tune a little bit with it. I mean, the fact that Tennessee is going to be getting paid, I think the reports are $20 million a year. I mean, I figured that's got to be great for the athletic program as a whole. But then also too, I mean, I'm just excited, I guess, to see a change a little bit. I'm going to miss Nike a lot. I thought Nike knocked it out of the park in terms of apparel and everything like that. And a lot of the uniforms across all the major sports at Tennessee, whether it's baseball, basketball, they all looked really nice under Nike. So it's going to be disappointing to see those things go. But I mean, I'm pretty excited just for a change, and if it brings more recruiting in, because I know a lot of Tennessee's, the people that they're targeting or have already got committed to the team, a lot of them have Adidas deals going on through NIL. I think Tristan Keys is with Adidas, which he potentially could flip to Tennessee. We'll have to see. I think Faison Brandon, if I'm not mistaken, he's already with Adidas. So, I mean, it's good for those guys and everything, which more money, more recruits. I mean, I think it could be pretty nice for Tennessee. Like I said, the one thing that I'm kind of worried about is I don't want the smoky grays to disappear. Like I know the smoky grays existed before with Adidas, but it was a lot different. And I also don't want the dark mode jerseys to go away because I've really fell in love with those dark mode uniforms. I mean, pretty much ever since Tennessee released them. So I don't know what the rights, like what kind of rights Tennessee has with it, but I'm hoping that they can keep at least like one of the alternate uniforms, whatever it ends up being. But the good thing about Tennessee switching to Adidas this time is I've heard that Tennessee is going to have a lot more freedom to like control what they want with their uniforms. Whereas I heard that was not the case when they were first with Adidas. So that, like, hearing that is really calm my nerves on like any of the situation going on with Adidas. It's made me feel more confident in the situation.
Well, you brought up a couple of things that I was going to mention. One, the thing with Tristan Keys, he has signed that deal with Adidas. I believe that was back in early June, right around the time in which this stuff had dropped initially. And it would be kind of funny if Tennessee's whole goal in switching to Adidas was to win over recruits because of NIL deals, and then Tristan Keys stays committed to LSU. They're doing a lot to try and lure him over. And who knows, it could very well happen in the next few weeks. I mean, this is kind of it now, just in terms of the 26 kids keeping their commitments that have already committed, because you get later on in the year and it's like you're going to flip 1 week before you have to move into school, because all these kids are early enrollees for the most part. There's a few that aren't, but a lot of them are. So that would be kind of sad if Tennessee had made that effort and it was completely in vain. Jordan, you mentioned the creative control, and I think that's one thing that's going to help a lot for Tennessee, because you don't have to worry about Adidas messing up your orange on your away jerseys like it was in years past. And honestly, and this is not just me saying this because Tennessee is flipping to Adidas, so I'm trying to sunshine pump here, but I didn't particularly enjoy the Nike number font on Tennessee's uniforms. Like, did it look clean? Yes, but I think the older one was a better look with Adidas as opposed to this one. Because honestly, you look at Tennessee's home uniforms in 2013, the white numbers in particular, not the smoky grays or any of that fun stuff. I thought those were really good looking, and it's kind of sad that Tennessee went away from those, because I thought they were a nice look, and maybe if you had gotten more creative control with Nike, you would have been able to do that. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Maybe that's something we see Tennessee go back to. I know Georgia, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago now, flipped back to their old numbers that they had previously, because the ones they had for like a 7 or 8 year period there, when guys like Jake Fromm were there, they were not good in comparison to the ones that they wore in the early 2000s. But maybe this is a step in the right direction, and we would be completely missing the point of this if we did not mention the fact that money talks, and it very much does in this case. Tennessee was getting $5.5 million from Nike, not as many creative rights as what Adidas is giving it. Adidas is essentially making Tennessee the premier brand for Adidas in college athletics, and you thought $5.5 million was good. Let's try $20 million. That's what Tennessee's getting out of that. So there are definitely some positives to this deal.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that it's a great opportunity of Tennessee too, like, just, to stick out. I mean, because like, how many teams are really with Nike? Like obviously, like, there's Alabama, there's Oregon. Like, I would say majority of the college football programs are Nike teams. So, I mean, it'd be a nice way for Tennessee to stick out, especially if, I mean, considering they have creative control this time around. I mean, they could really come up with some really good uniform ideas and stuff. And then, like, like, you don't have to be just one of Nike's people. You can be one of the flagship programs to be sponsored by Adidas. So I mean, I think it's great for Tennessee. And I like what you said too about like the number fonts, because that's always been my biggest gripe with Nike. Like, I didn't really have many complaints with them because, like I said, the apparel is nice. The uniforms overall were nice. But the font, I didn't feel like it was Tennessee. I felt like it was Nike.
Yeah.
If that makes any kind of sense. But like, I like the old traditional block numbers, and we've seen a lot of history from Tennessee with the old block numbers. So, I mean, of course, we don't know what we're going to get yet, but I'm assuming that's probably where we're going to be leaning, is going back to the way that things used to be. And I'm excited for that. And plus, too, like, more merch. And I'm assuming this time around, too, the Adidas merch is going to take a big step up, too, especially considering that they're trying to push Tennessee this time around more so than they probably did back in the past. I mean, Tennessee is a much better program than it was when they were last with Adidas. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, we could see a lot of cool new clothing items, new uniforms, and everything. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be an exciting thing to monitor for the next year for sure.
I would want to see the return of the black away number outline that
Yeah.
Tennessee had in the late 1990s and early 2000s. I thought that was actually kind of a cool look, even though it was really designed for broadcasters to be able to tell what kind or what number player that to say on the broadcast, because you just didn't have good outlines before then with it being all orange. Not that white is much better necessarily, but maybe you bring that back and it's a little bit more legible. And I'd be all for that, honestly.
Yeah, and even if they don't bring the black outlines back, the cool thing is with like Tennessee going back to Adidas, they could definitely make that a throwback uniform and make
Yeah.
that look pretty nice too, which would be fun to see.
And I guess the other thing we have to address with this is the alternates, because you've mentioned this a little bit before, and talking about the fact that it didn't look good when they brought out the smoky grays and the dark modes initially. Adidas has changed. I think there has been a change in leadership there that has decided to class up the look a little bit, which I think should help Tennessee in getting its stuff done by Adidas now. And just thinking too, like the initial black jerseys that came out in 2009, that was a last minute decision for that game. That was not something that Tennessee had even put a thought into before that. So I think that's a big part of it. And then the smoky grays, you'd have to think they'll be better than the abominations they created. What was that, 12 years ago now? They had that one that Tennessee just had to send back and just say, look, not only is it off color, it looks disgusting. It really does look disgusting with the checkerboard sleeves. That's not a good look. So, but again, Tennessee is in creative control here, so it should help if anything.
Yeah, and like that was like the issue the last go around. I mean, because those uniforms that Tennessee almost potentially wore, the ones that you were alluding to with the checkerboard shoulder pads, like from what I've read, that was not Tennessee's idea at all. Like that was completely Adidas thing, and then they scrapped the idea. And I'm pretty sure the year after that, Tennessee switched to Nike. Not saying like there's any
No,
like
there might
ties
be.
to that. I mean, maybe that was like they just saw how ugly those uniforms are, and they're like, we got to get out of here ASAP. But yeah, I mean, like Tennessee, they're gonna have more creative control this time around, and I mean, like we've already seen the things that they have been doing with like the different renditions of the smoky grays. Like switched a couple things up with the orange helmets, like that I know are infamous to a lot of Tennessee fans. With Nike, Tennessee was switching up a lot of different things, and I'm assuming that Tennessee wouldn't have signed this deal if they couldn't do the same with Adidas. So, I mean, I figure we're still going to see a lot of cool uniforms to come outside of the home and away uniforms.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier too with Tennessee's transition back to Adidas, but Tennessee would never have been the favorite among Nike personnel. It was always going to be Oregon because of the connection with Phil Knight. They were always going to get the cool stuff before Tennessee did, and most other Nike schools would, honestly. And of course, we know that doesn't always equate to national championships, but Jordan, you and I come from an era in which funky uniforms were the cool thing, and that's what all the kids wanted to go play in. So that's just something that I think worked against Tennessee a little bit. when it was with Nike, just the fact that you'd never be the premier brand. But now that Tennessee is getting that stamp, you can expect some more help from Adidas in the NIL world too, like we've already mentioned. So should only be a positive for Tennessee, but if they do roll out some very crappy looking smoky grays in 2026, then I think we'll all be disappointed.
Yeah, the big thing with the smoky grays, I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to make a return because I'm sure Nike has some kind of copyright on it, but the Smoky Mountains on the helmets and everything, that's one thing I will miss. Like, I'm sure they do keep the smoky grays around. I just don't know if they'll be able to do that.
They might.
Unfortunately, they might.
Creative control. They
Yeah.
have creative control. They might be able to say, hey, can you just put this on there? I don't know if copyright lawsuits would apply at all in this change in direction with the athletic apparel, but we'll see. They might be able to do it.
Well, and then I guess too, like Tennessee wasn't wearing Nike helmets, right? Like, I mean, like they were wearing like Rydell's and everything like that. And I mean, like, and can you like copyright the Smoky Mountains too? Like, I don't know. So maybe we do see him make a return. I mean, that would be my big hope for sure.
So again, Tennessee officially switching back to Adidas from Nike, getting an additional $20 million to do that. Of course, Tennessee very excited to be getting all of that money. They're about to get more money from you next year. As of this afternoon, 2026 season ticket prices are up another 4%. So that means from 2024 to 2026, season ticket prices have gone up 14% at Tennessee due to the quote-unquote talent fee. Jordan, your initial thoughts on yet another price hike on Tennessee football tickets?
I am conflicted with it because I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to see Tennessee win, but I also want to be able to see Tennessee games. So it's a little, it puts me into a little bit of a predicament, like trying to comprehend the situation because, like, one side of me just wants to see Tennessee go out there and dominate, have more money, be able to pay their recruits and whatever they need to do to be successful. But on the same time, like, there's a lot of people. I mean, like the average person, I mean, these tickets prices, I mean, it's hard to find like even bad seats that are less than $200. And then like if you're trying to go in like the lower bowl like tickets, like if it's like a big game, like it could be like upwards to like $700. And like when you're talking about having like bringing your family there, like say you have a wife, like a couple of kids, I mean, it can be difficult to be able to afford these games. Not to mention, like, if you're not from the Knoxville area, right? Like, so, like, for me, for example, like I live in Middle Tennessee, I would have to pay for all the gas to go out to Knoxville, probably pay about 40, 50 bucks for parking somewhere there. And then on top of it, have to pay like these extreme like prices and stuff for tickets, which is disappointing. But I mean, like ultimately, like if Tennessee is going to be really successful, we're competing for national championships. I'll just say like that's, you know, like that's just the problem of being successful. Tickets are going to be expensive. But I will say this, if Tennessee, I mean, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen. If Tennessee started to struggle and end up doing bad, then I don't think many fans would be happy about this price increase, to be honest.
Yeah, no, they'd be more than unhappy. They just wouldn't show up. I think that's part of the problem. But I mean, you look around, fans, journalists alike, they're just like, how on earth could a family of 5 growing up however many years ago afford to go to Tennessee athletic events in general? Because it's not just football that's getting expensive. It's all of the other sports too. They want all your money. And that's exactly what's happening. You know, I wonder because a good portion of the Tennessee fan base will drive from West Tennessee to go see games in Knoxville every weekend that they're in town. I just wonder at what point, you know, that you get to a place in which these tickets are so expensive and all those people just stop coming. They don't want to have to pay all those prices anymore. And I'm just thinking too, like I knew somebody who said, I'll probably go to the Mississippi State game this year. It's closer and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Guy that lives in Tennessee, by the way. So, I mean, these are very real things to think about. And of course, like I said, the 10% talent fee is remaining in effect, according to Banner Dan's email here. So, yeah, you are going to have to pay all of that in your season ticket purchases over the next 2 seasons. And man, it's sad because I already know some people who are giving up their season tickets because of this. I won't name names, obviously, but you have obviously the talent fee, which is a big part of it. Not only are the ticket prices going up, but there is a lack of program loyalty, which I think also bothers some people too, because you're paying all of this money for mediocre talent to be supplied with all of this revenue, and you don't know if this kid's going to be back at Tennessee the next year. Some higher power, most notably the NCAA, needs to find a way to come in and fix some of this stuff. Just with some of the issues, like some of this can be solved from within. I still believe that, but I just think there are other things that everybody needs to come together on, not just the Tennessee leadership.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point that I didn't initially think of. Like, well, like with players leaving and everything like that. Like, you have a talent fee. I mean, not only like would losing upset a lot of the fans if they had to pay this additional money, but then also too, like losing the pay, like the whole reasons, like, or a lot of this is because like they're trying to pay more players, but like you can't even like guarantee that they'll be on the roster next season too. I mean, I don't know. Like the one good thing about like college football, or like it used to be, is like, you had like a guy for about like 3 or 4 years that you could root
Yeah.
for, and then you could continue to go watch their NFL career and support them after that. But now, like, I mean, you don't even know if your starting quarterback's going to be there. Like, as we found out with Nico and Malieva this season, like, and then like they sell merch related to that too. Like take the tickets out of the equation, like the jerseys that they sell at
Never buy a jersey again.
Yeah, for real. Or go back to the way it used to be where there's no names on the back. So at least you could support like some Tennessee player of the past or pretend like that's what you're wearing.
Well, you couldn't do that with without NIL in the first place. I think that is the reason why that came into effect, the names on the back of the jerseys. But yeah, it's all very problematic. And I get what these people are saying. Like, let's say you're watching Tennessee beat up on Ball State 59-3 with a few minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and you see this freshman in the game and he's just running all over Ball State, and you're like, man, I can't wait to watch this kid in a year or two. Before you know it, he's gone. You'll never hear from him again. And it's really sad, but it is part of the reality. And I do think a big part of the frustration among fan base is just because not having program loyalty, I just think kills some of the love for a team.
Oh yeah, of course. And like, the NCAA is eventually, we've had NIL for like how long now? Like at least like 5 years, I feel like.
Yeah, I believe we're going into year 5 or have just gone into year 5.
Yeah, so about 5 years, and I feel like everyone's still on like the same page, trying to understand like how it works and everything. Like I still don't even know to this day like what goes into all the NIL. Like, but like with all these players leaving and everything like that, and so much uncertainty, like you would almost hope that there would be some sort of contracts in place where like players could not leave. Like if people like are going to get paid and stuff, and you want to treat it like it's a professional league, like similar to the NFL, then I think that there should probably be contracts in place as well.
Yeah.
So like, because like fans will be losing out of money, like paying for these tickets for these players that aren't even going to be there. And like the school's going to lose out money because they're not winning the games because they paid this guy that's going to end up going transfer to another school. Like, I just feel like there's too many holes in the NIL situation. And hopefully like, the NCAA can come up with a concrete plan to address a lot of these issues.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to. I don't know if the NCAA really has any power anymore, just after everything we've seen. Because, what was the last major incident in which the NCAA really flexed its muscles? Ole Miss in 2017, maybe?
Oh, it seems like they've lost everything as of late, like court battles and
Yeah,
everything like
because
that.
they put Ole Miss on the 2-year postseason ban, but I mean, beyond that, like I guess maybe Ohio State's bowl ban several years back, Penn State, and that whole situation.
Yeah.
Like those are the last ones I can think of. There's not much beyond those situations that the NCAA has really been able to just dog a team for. I mean, I guess Mizzou and Arizona State both had postseason bans since then. LSU did, but that's just a 1-year deal. Those programs have had better seasons since then. Obviously, with of course Arizona State making a college football playoff the year after they got hit with the postseason ban, which is actually quite remarkable. But here we are complaining about the transfer portal once again, when it did give quite a few gifts to Tennessee this offseason, multiple programs this offseason. In fact, you could argue all of them. And we're going to talk about 2 of those gifts to both Tennessee and Syracuse, because the starting quarterbacks have been named for the opener between the Vols and the Orange down there in Atlanta. And it went about how we expected. Joey Aguilar versus Steve Angeli is what you got. I'm almost just tempted to call this the Nico replacement bowl, because these 2 guys were both guys that I don't know if Tennessee really wanted Steve Angeli, but I just think he was the first guy to enter the portal after Nico had entered the portal. So it was just like, Vol, come here, you're a Vol. So, but of course, Joey Aguilar, you get him in what was more or less a trade with UCLA. So that is officially your starting quarterback matchup in Atlanta. Jordan, your initial thoughts on Steve Angeli and Joey Aguilar getting the job?
Well, I mean, like with the Joey Aguilar situation, I mean, I feel like we assumed that this was going to happen. I mean, there was a period where I thought Jake Merklinger was going to be the guy, as do I think a lot of Tennessee fans. But like getting Joey Aguilar in the transfer portal, especially getting him from UCLA too. I mean, you figure Tennessee's going to get a guy for a reason. They're not just going to pay a player and like break their back trying to get another quarterback if they're not going to play him. And I think, Tennessee, I think they just want experience for this season. And like experience is what like Joey Aguilar is going to bring to Tennessee. And I was looking at stats earlier today. I mean, so Jake Merklinger, right? He's got 9 passing attempts in his career at Tennessee. And meanwhile, like, Joey Aguilar hasn't played in the SEC or anything like that, or hasn't dealt with the schedule like what Tennessee's going to have to face. But Joey Aguilar has 850 passing attempts. So there's significantly more like playing experience there. And I think that's what Tennessee's would want to look towards, especially starting the season with there being so much uncertainty with how thin that Tennessee is on offense, losing like all of its receivers and pretty much all of its offensive line, losing SEC Offensive Player of the Year, Dylan Sampson. I mean, we still don't know what Tennessee's identity is going to be like this season. So I feel like the safest bet is to have the guy that's had the most reps, the guy that has the most experience, that's kind of been there, done that. And, like the good thing is, even if Joey Aguilar doesn't end up playing well, Tennessee still got 2 talented quarterbacks on the roster. And like I've mentioned before, I mean, Tennessee took the experience back in the day with Matt Sims as their quarterback, and they tried making that work for a little bit until they finally, were like, we're not going to do this anymore, put the freshman in and Tyler Bray, and then look how that went. I mean, Tennessee didn't win a whole lot during that time, but I mean, Tyler Bray was clearly the better quarterback and put Tennessee in better positions to win. So, I mean, like, who's to say that couldn't happen this year either? Of course, I think everyone wants to see Joey Aguilar be successful and know that you got this guy for a good reason. But I don't think it's the end of the world if he ends up underperforming either, because like I said, I mean, Merklinger's got talent, and then George McIntyre has potential to be a stud in the future.
Yeah. It's funny because I was just scrolling through the internet earlier today and stumbled across, I think the guy's name is Brooks Austin. He does all these like film studies of different teams, everybody in college football. It's not just because he covers Georgia, but he does all kinds of different film studies, but he looked into some of Nico's film last year against Ohio State, and he's just watching him trying to go through his progressions. He went through one progression, and then he just, instead of, just going like this, he like turned his entire body as if he was going to run and just abandoned the other two, one of which could have been a touchdown against Ohio State. Not that it was going to get Tennessee back in the game, but like, the more that we go back and watch what Nico did last season, the more we realize Tennessee did not actually have it that good with Nico last year. Because all these throws from the Alabama game, just like what was he doing in some of those instances? I think it was Squirrel was the one that he had right down the middle of the field for a touchdown and just totally missed on him. Like, I don't know how you do that. The interception he threw in the south end zone, like, nobody was there. Literally just throw the ball anywhere but to the Alabama DB, and that's exactly what you did. You threw it straight to him. So, I at least hope that if Joey Aguilar throws more interceptions than the other quarterbacks that we've seen come through the Heupel system this year, it's at least in an effort to make big plays, unlike what we saw with Nico last year, which I couldn't tell you what some of the purposes for those throws were.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of us, like Tennessee fans, like held Joe Milton to the fire for him, like not being able to be able to connect with those big passes and everything like that. But I feel like a lot of times, Tennessee fans, like, we just gave Nico a lot of grace because he was a 5-star quarterback. He was like highly touted recruit, and you would hope that he would be able to get things together. And who knows, maybe he does with UCLA and everything. But I mean, the way that he was treated, like from the outside, like he's kind of like treated like the second coming of Peyton Manning in ways, whereas like he didn't necessarily get, he didn't really prove that. And like, I've always been critical on Nico and like how long it would take for him to like release the ball in the pocket. I think that was like one of the biggest complaints against him. And luckily for Tennessee, I don't think that would be as big of an issue with Aguilar. And like, yeah, maybe he does throw more interceptions and everything, but like, I watched a lot of Peyton Manning, being like a Colts fan and stuff in the NFL. Peyton Manning, like, he had turnovers too, like more than you would think if you go look up his stats, but because he wasn't afraid to go out there and throw the football. Like he believed in himself. He had the confidence that he can complete that pass. And I'm hoping that that's what it's going to be like with Joey Aguilar. Like, obviously I don't expect him to be like Peyton Manning, especially after what I just said about Nico. But I mean, like, you do want to see a quarterback have the confidence to be able to make quick decisions and everything and get the ball out and hopefully make big plays, not like just sit there waiting for the perfect opportunity to come and then it doesn't happen and then you just got to run away or just whatever you must do. Like, just be able to like make up your mind quick. I think that's something that Tennessee could really benefit from this season, and especially with like how Josh Heupel likes to conduct his offenses and like Tennessee's had some quick receivers in the past. I mean, if we get a quarterback to make quick decisions with the athleticism that's on the roster, I mean, Tennessee could have some pretty dangerous plays like you saw with like Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt.
Give me 5 300-plus yard passing performances with 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions every day of the week over, a 20 for 40 performance with 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. The first one at least tells me that you're doing something.
Yeah, like for real. Like I don't have like the stats readily available. I don't know if you know or not, but I mean, like, how many times did Nico like even throw for 200 yards in a game? Because I'll
pull it up for us.
Yeah, it couldn't have been much. Like, I want to say like even against. Maybe even like against Vanderbilt, he like only threw 190 or something like that.
Well, he's part of the reason why Tennessee did win that game. I'll give him that. Let's see. Looking at the overall pass yards here, broke 211 against NC State last season. 194 against Oklahoma, 158 against Arkansas, 169 against Florida, 194 against Alabama. Did hit 292 against Kentucky, so that's at least something. Mississippi State, he left early. Let's see, Georgia just 167. Tennessee only had 219 total against UTEP, and I would hazard a guess that he did not throw all 219 of those passing yards. He did throw for 257 against Vanderbilt and just 104 against Ohio State. So overall, still not very good. That's a lot of games in there where he did not break 200 pass yards.
Yes, I think I heard like maybe 2 or 3 games where he cracked
against meaningful opponents.
Oh, against meaningful opponents. Then,
yeah, that's my main point here. Like, you can ball out all you want against Chattanooga and Kent State. It's still Chattanooga and Kent State. If you can't do it against, the average SEC team, then I have concerns with your ability to play quarterback in an SEC offense.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't think we're going to see a lot of the problems that we saw with Nico with Joey Aguilar. I mean, I think he will come in here with making quicker decisions, everything. And he has more experience than Nico too. Like, I know I brought that up earlier about his experience, but I mean, I think like there is like some benefits to that. I mean, look at like what Stetson Bennett was able to achieve with Georgia a couple years ago, like just sitting around waiting for his opportunity and everything. I mean, like, experience still is important. I mean, of course, you do want like guys that can come in there and end up being dominating. But I mean, I think Joey Aguilar is just a placeholder quarterback for this season to start with. Anyways, I mean, I think Tennessee is kind of looking towards their future with like Faison Brandon, maybe even George McIntyre. I mean, like, Tennessee is doing a stellar job in recruiting and everything right now. That I mean, of course, the goal is to try to win a national championship. But I mean, like, just to put up something like noteworthy of this season, whether it's like finishing 10-2 or not, which I think would be a pretty successful season for Tennessee. I mean, I think Joey Aguilar probably gives you the best chance as of right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And what if he goes out there and just has like a year like Sam Darnold did for the Vikings last season? Nobody's really expecting him to come in here and just tear it up, and then suddenly you look up and he's got double-digit wins for the season. That'd be something.
Yeah,
that would be something. And obviously this offense is not going to demand him to play hero ball a ton. Not that the fans necessarily want him to, because that could be troublesome if he's out there forcing some throws he shouldn't make. But I do think there is the possibility that he comes out and has a much better year than what Tennessee was thinking it was going to get itself into by the time spring rolled around.
Yeah, and you got to think that he must be very motivated as well. Like, I'm sure everyone that's watching this has like seen some of the preseason rankings they've had for quarterbacks in the SEC. Almost every single one of them I've seen has had Joey Aguilar right there at like number 16th, right there is like the bottom. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with people being uncertain on how he's going to play in the SEC and all of that. But I mean, like, I will say, like, seeing that list, if I was Joey Aguilar, that would make me quite upset, and I would want to prove a lot of people wrong. And I mean, I'll say this with full confidence, like, Joey Aguilar is not going to be the worst quarterback in the SEC this season.
No, I don't think it will happen. Who do we think it would be, though?
It'd be funny if it was Diego Pavia.
It would be very funny.
That would be the funniest solution to see for sure.
Because the thing with Diego Pavia is the book is out on him. People know what Vanderbilt's all about at this point, and people are going to want to come out and absolutely rip his head off if possible. Just thinking, other than Diego Pavia that we just
who's
mentioned,
Kentucky got at quarterback?
Zach Calzada.
No way.
The guy that beat Alabama 4 years ago in College Station. So I think it's not impossible that they come out and just have a terrible year because Zach Calzada can't make the transition back to SEC play. In fact, I think it's entirely possible that they have a pretty rough season this year. I don't know, maybe Bo Prabula at Mizzou could be in there. But if he lights the world on fire, we'll obviously take that back. Blake Shapen at Mississippi State's a possibility. Jackson Arnold at Auburn. Unless Deuce Knight ends up beating him out mid-season, kind of like with what we were talking about earlier with Bray and Sims back in 2010. You have a situation where you bring in a veteran guy, he doesn't do well, but you have a very talented freshman behind him. You let the freshman get the keys, and suddenly he's tearing it up. So that could be a possibility too for Auburn. But to answer the question, I don't think there is a possibility that Joey Aguilar is your worst quarterback in the league this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would find hard to believe, especially like in a Heupel-led offense. Like I know we've said it over and over again, but I mean, just take Tennessee out of the equation. Like you're talking about Landry Jones, you're talking about Drew Lock. Say whatever you want about his NFL career. He threw more career passing touchdowns than Peyton Manning did at Tennessee. And then like you got even like some throwbacks like Blake Bell, who is not necessarily your traditional passer. We've mentioned Chucky Keaton on here before. I mean, whoever Heupel's coach has been successful to some degree or another. So I mean, I mean, with almost anyone at quarterback, I would imagine like Tennessee to at least throw like 20 touchdowns with their quarterback and not have too many interceptions, which is essentially what Joe Milton and Nico did. And those were probably two of his like least successful quarterbacks that he's like coached from like a statistic standpoint. So, I mean, you would assume that Joey Aguilar would do better than that. And people are still hyping up Nico to this day, even though that he's with UCLA and everything now. So, I mean, I think Joey Aguilar's got potential to be really good this season. Like, but I think that we're going to have to wait and see how he plays against like SEC caliber opponents and how he's going to handle some of these situations, because I don't know exactly who all that he played when he was at App State. But it's going to be difficult playing in places like the Swamp, like which Tennessee is going to have to do this year, or even like Mississippi State for that matter. I mean, I'm sure a lot of teams that he played against at App State, I mean, weren't even as loud as some of these like lower tier schools in like the SEC. But I'm not too worried about that, to be honest, because like I think that's where his experience comes into play. And like, you know, he may not have had like played against some of the competition that he will be playing against at Tennessee, but he's at least seen things and at least is like had years to mature and everything. And like he knows like what it's like to run an offense and everything like that. And like, you know, I mean, it'd be better to have that than to have like with Jake Merklinger, who has not ran the offense yet. I mean, like, of course he did in high school, but high school is a big difference for than it is in like college football.
Yeah, Joey Aguilar has played in ACC Death Valley, so it's not as if he is completely new to all of this. But you are right, though. It will be a little bit more difficult in him just getting adjusted to environments. And we mentioned it earlier, but again, I just don't see a big downgrade with Aguilar coming into this system as opposed to what Nico left it in. But if something does go wrong, we will know pretty early on in the season. I think that's fair to say. So that's about all I've got for quarterback tonight. Again, we'll monitor it over the course of the year. Should only be the first 3 games, but if something goes wrong, we will obviously talk about it. We need to shift gears to defense, though, because we do have some injury news, and I think for the first time, injury news that will be a concern going into the season. Defensive tackle Daevin Hobbs will miss the first few games of the year with what the team is calling a foot injury. Hobbs, of course, was supposed to be a little bit more of a depth piece this year. Obviously, he's going to get back into the mix, but you know, he's not a guy that you expect to go out there and start 75% of the plays for Tennessee on defense. But he did get into the mix more last season, and there was a hope that he can bring even more to the table this year. But as of right now, that does make things a little more difficult at the DT spot than they already were.
Yeah, I will say, like, of course, I hope for a speedy recovery for him, that hopefully it doesn't like end up becoming a problem again, even like after he's able to come back. Like, hopefully he's able to make a full recovery and everything. But I will say, like, on the bright side, I mean, if there was like a position group that you could afford to like lose a player for a little bit, I think that it would be defensive line for Tennessee. I mean, they've already been rotating a lot of defensive linemen pretty much every year. Like Heupel's been there. I mean, and like, Tennessee still got Bryson Eason out there. They got Jackson Moy. So like, yeah, it's a concerning situation for sure, but Tennessee's probably got about like 5 guys in there that could go into that like rotation and everything. And I mean, I don't think it's gonna impact Tennessee all that much. I mean, of course I could be wrong, but I mean, I just feel like worse about like his situation that he has some missed time than anything, more so than I'm like concerned on how it's going to affect Tennessee as a whole.
So let's look at what Tennessee has to do or has the option to do with Daevin Hobbs out for this brief period of time. So, of course, you could give most of the snaps to Bryson Eason, which I think is ultimately something they will try to do. Limit the rotation of some of these other guys into those positions. But past that, on the depth chart, beyond both Eason and Hobbs, the next man up is Jamal Wallace, who, if you guys need a refresher, he's the guy that Tennessee got as a JUCO transfer, started his career as a JUCO wide receiver, added tons of weight, and then shifted over to the defensive line. I believe that was in the 2024 offseason when Tennessee got him. Hadn't seen the field much. So that's option B. And then option C is slide one of your guys at the other defensive tackle spot over. That of course being the guys behind Jackson Moy, which right now include Ethan Utley, the freshman from Innsworth, or Jordan's favorite guy, Josh Shell, the Grand Valley State transfer. So those are your options as a backup defensive tackle with Daevin Hobbs out for the time being.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, Tennessee's going to figure out something. I mean, Rodney Gardner, one of the best to do it in terms of being like a defensive line coach. I mean, Tennessee's going to figure out something. And like, luckily too, I mean, like take defensive line out of the equation too, and all the rotational guys. I mean, Tennessee's got good defensive players all over. I mean, I know like the safety room's got me a little bit concerned, but I mean, got corners to step up whenever Jamad McCoy is able to get fully healthy. I mean, the addition of Colton Hood was great. Linebackers, Aaron Carter and everything like that. Like, I think Tennessee's going to be just fine, to be honest. But then again, I mean, who knows? I mean, like, don't want to get in a position where like a team's running up the middle like crazy, but I just don't see that happening, especially if like Aaron Carter like back there to be able to like clean up whatever mess was to happen like with the defensive line. I mean, I'm sure like he could make the right reads and be able to stop them too, but like and like it's not like he's gonna miss the whole season either. Like you said, like maybe about like 3 games or so. I mean, better to lose him earlier in the year than later. So I mean, hopefully he'll be able to make a full recovery and be able to come back for some of these bigger games like Alabama and stuff like coming later in the season.
Yeah, defense is the one position you really worry about with depth because you look at the Heupel era, and linebacker is, of course, a position that was shallow for a few years. I remember the 22 season, the corners were just dropping like flies that year. Just none of them were able to stay healthy. Defensive line, it's not been as big of a problem. And, of course, you trust all the talent that you've got there under Rodney Garner. But, again, it is at least temporarily a concern for this team because Daevin Hobbs was a contributor last season on the defensive line. It always hurts when you lose a guy like that for any period of time.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see how his recovery goes. I would like to know like what it is exactly. Like it's a foot injury. Like I do know that, but like what up with the foot? Because I don't even know what would even come to mind as far as a foot injury. Because I mean, I doubt he broke his foot or anything, but I mean, maybe he did
potentially.
Maybe a broken toe. Like it's just a little vague.
Would hope it's not like plantar fasciitis or anything. Because I have Tennessee's had a couple guys in basketball that have suffered that injury. here lately, and it just varies. Like, one guy was out for basically the entire season because of that, and maybe some complications from other injuries. But I do know that he had plantar fasciitis, and then there was a guy the year before who had it as well. So no fun whatsoever to have to deal with that. But yeah, it could be a broken bone as well. That's highly possible.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, so to close out the show, we have more recruiting for you. This is the first time we've talked recruiting in a while. Probably the last time we'll talk recruiting for a while, just because you don't see as many commitments over the course of college football season. But we do have 2 commitments to watch over the course of this week, 2 of which I'm beginning to not feel as good about, which is not good, especially with one of the positions. But both of these guys are 5-star players. So we'll go chronologically here. Tomorrow, 5-star running back Savion Hyder will announce his commitment. It is Tennessee and Michigan who are in the race to try and get Hyder. And he will be committing at 11:15 Eastern tomorrow. He, of course, plays his high school football over there in Virginia. I believe Louisa County is the name of his high school. That's out near Richmond, if I'm not mistaken. And we're actually going to be doing a little watch party. Myself, TJ, and the Michigan guys, and one of the Ohio State guys on the channel this time tomorrow. So if you would like to see Tennessee get a huge commitment, or like to see a soul-crushing defeat on the recruiting trail, you can tune into that tomorrow. But would be a huge get for Tennessee just because they don't have a running back yet in this class, and it would be the highest rated running back, I believe, since Jalen Hurd that Tennessee has gotten. This would beat out Eric Gray just in terms of the overall ranking on the recruiting services, which would be impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a huge get if Tennessee could get Hyder for sure. I mean, because I'm looking right now, like Tennessee's already got Faison Brandon, of course, who's 5-star, number 1 prospect according to 24/7. Then there's Gabriel Ascenda, another 5-star. Salce Moa, like composite score has him at 5-star. I mean, if Tennessee is able to get Hyder, get Darius Gray, and maybe flip Tristan Keys, like you're talking about 6 5-stars that would go to Tennessee, which would have to be a record. I mean, I'm not even I don't know when they started adding the star rankings and everything like that. But I doubt that even Philip Fulmer was able to achieve something like that when he was the coach at Tennessee. And I feel like, you land big guys like Hyder, and then other people want to come to Tennessee too, or come to the school. I mean, I think we've seen a little bit of that with Faison Brandon. I feel like if he wouldn't have committed to Tennessee when he did, then maybe some of these other recruits may not have followed him. Because I feel like there's a little trickle down effect that comes with that. So, I mean, and then plus, like you said, Tennessee, they don't currently have a running back in that recruiting class, I mean, although like as we know, there's a lot of athletes that I'm sure at least one of the players that Tennessee recruited could potentially play running back. Um, but it would be a huge get for Tennessee. I'm just not so certain on which way that he goes. I mean, because like you said, it's between Tennessee and Michigan, which you would like those 50-50 odds. But I don't know. Like it's been interesting trying to monitor like his recruiting process on Twitter and stuff because he doesn't really give out too much to let you know where he's leaning.
No, very much playing the cards close to the table. Not trying to give much away at all. And I had a thought and I just lost it totally. The trickle down. Yes, you were talking a little bit about the trickle down. Sometimes it works. For example, David Sanders was a big one. Literally with George McIntyre and Ethan Utley trying to get him in, and eventually, of course, they did. But we've seen instances where it hasn't worked either. Nico was trying to do that when he originally committed to Tennessee. I think the ones he was going after were Francis Mauigoa, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And I know for sure he was going after Carnell Tate, trying to get him to commit to Tennessee, and neither of those worked. Not really sure how much of a difference that would have made, knowing he transferred out 2 years after he committed here, or I guess it was more than that, but you get what I'm saying. So it'll work every now and again. And we've seen some guys try and do it. Even current players on this team, like Colton Hood is one that I've noticed, who's out here trying to get all kinds of guys to commit to Tennessee. So you like to see that. You just hope he sticks around more than just the year. Because he's hopped around a little bit, but so that's recruit number one that you could see Tennessee get this week. And I would say between the two, it's more likely Tennessee gets Savion Hyder than this next guy, Darius Gray, the interior offensive lineman, who also happens to be from around Richmond. It looks like it's South Carolina and LSU who are the main competitors there. So I'm not overly confident in Tennessee trying to get him, even though he did list Tennessee in the top 5, and you had some quality programs in the mix there. But most of the signs, I think, are pointing to South Carolina now for that one. So, again, monitor it because he's a 5-star, but I have low expectations for Friday when he commits.
Yeah, I feel the same thing with Darius Gray as well. I mean, like just the fact that he's got 5 teams like up there that he's choosing from two. Yeah. I mean, you don't like your odds.
Well, just Hyder is technically also choosing between Georgia and Ohio State, but we all know it's really Tennessee and Michigan.
I mean, yeah, that like from everything that I've heard and seen, yeah, it's between Tennessee and Michigan for sure. Darius Gray, I haven't heard as much from like where he's leaning. Of course, like, yeah, he's from Virginia, but I mean, he's not really looking at Virginia schools. I mean, I know like LSU's been an enticing school for recruits to go to for a long time. South Carolina is a little interesting to me, though. I mean, I know like Lenore Sellers and everything, and like Shane Beamer, like there's hype surrounding him this season. But I mean, like, what Lenore Sellers? I'm assuming he's at least a junior right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I mean, I think a junior or a redshirt sophomore at the very youngest.
Well, yeah, like, so maybe Lenore Sellers stays around and everything. But like, yeah, I mean, I just don't really 100% know like what to think about Darius Gray. I'm not confident in it, to be honest. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? If Tennessee was able to pull that off, I mean, like I was saying, like, so many 5-star recruits Tennessee has potential to get in this class. And I just think it looks really good on paper. I mean, of course, you don't know how it's going to pan out when it's all said and done. We've seen several 5-stars not live up to their potential in the past. But I mean, I think at the very least, it looks good optically to recruits across the country. And, you know, like the more you see Tennessee close to the top and like some of these categories, the more people would want to go, whether or not it's like, you know, Tennessee signing the deal with Adidas. They're going to be making $20 million a year. Dang. And then, like, seeing Tennessee finish top in recruiting, the Tennessee's got one of the largest stadiums in college football. Like, seeing things like that where Tennessee's top 10, and I feel like it gets people excited, gets players excited, would make people want to come to Tennessee. And of course, like getting the right recruits in is just so huge in college football. I mean, like that's the future of where your program's going to head. And I know it's a little bit different now at the NIL, like can't always expect those recruits to stay around, but I mean, it would be huge gets for Tennessee, especially like with Darius Gray, in his case, like, like Tennessee not always had like the best offensive lines. And like you mentioned, Francis Mauigoa with Nico. I mean, I was very disappointed when he didn't go to Tennessee, because I think offensive line is very pivotal in all aspects of football, whether it's middle school all the way up to the NFL. I mean, you're not going to get much done with a poor offensive line. So, I mean, if Darius Gray was to come to Tennessee, shock the world, that would be extremely exciting, especially since Tennessee's already got Gabriel Ascenda, but not very confident, to be honest, that he goes to Tennessee.
Yeah, the Virginia pipeline has always been very important to Tennessee. It's the case with both of these guys. Just the fact that you don't have an SEC school in that state, it just makes it easier for some of these SEC schools to come in and get some of this higher quality talent out of it, which you do find in many cases up there. But one advantage South Carolina does have with the state of Virginia is the fact that Shane Beamer is the son of a famous football coach who once held a job in Virginia, so he knows the landscape quite well. And I do think that's something that Tennessee is going to have to fight against, and it's part of the reason why South Carolina is a little more competitive in these recruiting battles, I think, just on the East Coast.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about like Frank Beamer and everything with the Virginia Tech. Like, yeah, I mean, it makes more sense how South Carolina could be able to target these guys, considering that like Shane is his son and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see for sure. Be especially interesting. It goes to South Carolina.
All right, Jordan, that's all I've got for tonight. Did we miss anything else?
I could be wrong. I think today there was another All-American.
All-American?
Preseason All-America thing that came out today. I forget what.
There may have been an AP one, actually.
Yeah, I think it was AP.
I didn't see anybody's names on there. Maybe you did. I don't know. Let
me double check real quick. See, the reason that like I'm even thinking about that right now is because I saw Mauigoa was listed on there. I think he was second team, but yeah, Jermod McCoy made the preseason first team by Associated Press, which not a big surprise. But yeah, Mauigoa made it too. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I guess we also have NFL preseason football, which we didn't talk about at all earlier in the show, and I don't really have a huge desire to tonight, but it's just more of the same at this point. In fact, Joe Milton's actually looking worse. I saw he was like 2 of 8 for 14 yards and a pick at halftime in their preseason game, which is not good for him. I really hope he can turn it around. Hobbs may have thrown a long touchdown pass somewhere in there, I think, but outside of that, I don't have any more updates for you on preseason football.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Joe Milton.
He's still Joe Milton. He hasn't changed that much. He's still the guy you used to know. All right. Well, that'll do it for us tonight on Tennessee Volunteers Live. Again, we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football, live every Monday at 8 Eastern Time. For Jordan Binkley, I am Tucker Harlan. We will talk to you guys again next week.